Welcome to EIPIP meeting 49. I'm going to share agenda here in the chat for people who may have missed it. The first item listed here is about EIP bot, but I don't see any team joining in so far, so we'll come back to that item. And because we have a Liggy here, let's go ahead and pick up his proposal. That is item number 3, Resurrect EIP 1328. So we came across this EIP in a PEEP and EIP meeting for EIP 4361 sign-in with Ethereum. Though we realize it is not required for Ethereum sign-in proposal, but is an important one for other projects. I had a chat with Liggy last week to resurrect this proposal, and he had some questions around the process changed that happened since the proposal was documented. So yeah, over to you, Liggy, if you have any question and you would like to share with the EIP editors.
Yeah, it was basically about the new items, but we just filled it out with Pedro now, so to just like fulfill this new properties. So basically, I think we should have filled everything. Should have filled all the changes. Yeah. So everything Exec was saying was missing, and also added for the new 2.0 standard. Basically, there was a little bit of change there. Yeah, want to work a little bit more on the security considerations. There's a little bit missing. I just talked to Peter before, but he couldn't make it to this call. But afterwards, we hope it's mergeable. So yeah, because it's used, it's widely used, and we kind of want to make it final, sort of path to final. So make it draft first, and then wait 2 weeks, and then make it final.
So going by the earlier comments on this pull request, it looks like it is okay. I have added the link to the agenda. So if there is anything that is needed from editor's point of view, please leave a comment. Just wanted to bring it to attention that we would like to resurrect this.
Yeah, thank you for that. I hope we can get it alive again.
All right. Thank you. Moving on, the item number 2 here is what to put in the test cases section. So this is inspired by Mikhail's comment, which is there on the Discord, ETH Discord, but I suppose it will be useful for other authors as well. Is there a general guideline for adding test cases section? So by general guideline, I mean, can it be updated in later statuses? For example, EIP 3675, that is moving to review. So is it okay to add a test plan or the link to the test plan, and when the testing is done before moving it to last call, that will be updated?
So the test cases section is optional, and part of the reason for that is so people don't have to have test cases ready at the beginning. So whenever you have test cases ready, add them in. If you don't have them, then just leave the section out entirely.
So by optional, it means for proposals. So I'm sure it will not be the core proposal, but any other proposal, if they do not have test cases, just the reference implementation should be working, right? There should not be a blocker.
Yeah, reference implementation is also optional. So if either of those sections are missing, the EIP can still go through the full process. We recommend them. Like it definitely helps to have good test cases and reference implementation, but they're not required.
Cool. All right, that is good to know. We will update the author. I think that was it on this particular item. I see Shashank joining the call, so I suppose we can pick up the item of the EIP bot. Coming back to item number 1, following the working of the bots in the past few months, we all know that automation has helped us a lot. And I was discussing to some other authors, and they mentioned that it has helped us and like moving things faster. Comments on GitHub and ETH R&D Discord shows that there are still room for improvement. We are making progress, of course. So to continue these improvements, I have added this as recurring item for EIPIP meeting. The first sub item is progress on documenting working of different bots. I know we discussed in past few meetings. Shashank, if you may have further update on this to share.
Yeah. So I discussed with Anita on our ECH Discord, and I realized that while I was working on the documentation, all the documentation that was actually necessary was already present, and any of the rest of the flow that was required to understand as how these bots are working, that specific part is already present in the YAML files, in the configuration files, and any of the doubts that I had was cleared by Micah in the last meeting, I guess, last meeting. So now I'm failing to understand if we should even continue working on the bot documentation, because I don't feel it's necessary anymore. Because major of the confusion that I had was understanding where it's starting and where it's ending. But if you just read the documentation and go through the code, it's actually pretty much self-explanatory, if I can say.
That's good to know. We just wanted to make sure people who are trying to join here or finding ways to contribute as a new contributors should be able to find that. Now that we are sure that everything is already there and should be easy, it's good to know. We are currently collecting issues on EIP bot GitHub repository. So if there is anything related to EIP bot that people find is not working, please add an issue on the EIP bot GitHub. The link is added to the agenda. Related to bot, I had couple of items to be discussed, sub items actually. There is this tag ambiguous. I'm wondering, like, what is the logic behind that? Like, how do bot decide that it needs to go ambiguous, not new or anything else? Are we aware of? Yeah.
I believe ambiguous is the label it gives when it can't tell what type of EIP it is. So normally the bot, I think, will label things as like an ERC or a core EIP, etc. If for some reason the bot's unable to figure that out, usually because the header data is incorrect, I think that's when it labels it ambiguous. And it basically just means some editor needs to look at it and give feedback to the user to tell them what to fix their problem, basically.
So error is in the header data, right? Probably.
I think so. Do you have an example of one that's flagged as ambiguous?
I think there was one that we came across yesterday. That was a new proposal, but we were not able to figure out why bot marked it as ambiguous instead of a new proposal. I'm trying to pull out
Let me take a look. I can find one.
Okay, I'll try to point it out. I don't know.
So my guess is it might have gotten confused because there's two files in this PR. I thought the bot handled that, but maybe on new EIPs it struggles with that still. That's my initial guess.
That makes sense. Having two file number can create ambiguity there. Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
I thought that the issue was there was no EIP number in it yet. And so it probably just failed to parse the preamble.
No, I mean, it'll parse the preamble without an EIP number, I believe, won't it? And also has since gotten...
It should be able to, that doesn't mean it does though.
Yeah, okay, so looking at the bot message, it did parse the EIP itself, but then it failed to parse the image. Oh, I think I see what you're saying. Okay, yeah, so the image was put into the folder EIP-XX, not EIP-4780, and so the bot is confused what this file is because it's not in a folder that it recognizes. So yeah, I like Lance, right?
So is it that it's not about the EIP itself, but the placement of the file, right? Is that it?
Yeah, so if you look at the conversation on EIP 4780 and you look at the bot message, it has two little sections there. One where it has details about EIP 4780.md and the other one about the asset file. And got the ambiguous classification from the asset file.
Yeah,
That's
found it.
the resolution it has. And you can see that the file name is assets/EIP-XX. It should be assets/EIP-4780.
Yeah, and it happened in the auto merge bot fail check.
Yeah, so as soon as
Yeah,
the user fixes that, it should,
Got it.
I think the bot should resolve.
Got it.
Yeah, the reason why I was stuck to it because my initial thought process was if a proposal is new, we should not be expecting EIP number over there. So it should ideally be categorized as new proposal instead of ambiguous.
So I think, at least right now, it is classified as a new EIP. It's just also ambiguous because it has a second file that it doesn't understand.
Yeah,
So
that makes sense.
once the second file is understood, then it should be just new.
That makes sense. So that's a very good use of labels. And I also find the usage of a new label called editor needs to review. Yesterday, we were discussing how we can like make it easier for EIP editors to figure out which proposals or pull request needs review. This is basically for the new reviewers who are trying to join the group and maybe help with looking into some of the proposals. Wondering if we have already set logic for editors need to review, or is it being manually added?
I believe it's manual at the moment.
I think so I'm checking on EIP 4671 non-tradable non-tradable token by Omar Aflaq, and in the bot it shows that this PR requires review from one of light client and ASIC, and that's it. I'm not sure if the label happened because of that. Is that it, or?
I think that's a little different than what we want, right? Because that's saying like we need a permissioned editor to come along and do like something that requires authentication, like merging or something along those lines. Whereas I think what we actually want is more like a label that says, hey, somebody has looked at this and they have like tagged the bot to say, now we're waiting for the author, and then the author can reply or push a commit, and then it just flips back to like an editor mode.
Yeah, so that one I added the tag for, and I don't know why.
But that actually helped, Micah, because I think if this is a tag which is available, probably we can look into automation of it and how to make best use of this tag.
So what would be the case where this tag would exactly go? Like how would you suggest, which part does the bot identify and says, okay, this is the part that it's not matching the spec maybe, and it needs this label called editor needs to review?
So I would say it needs editor needs to review. Ideally, would show up automatically when the EIP is passing all CI, and it is a status change or it's new EIP. So basically, when it's at a state where the editor needs to review it, and the user has already resolved the CI issues.
And
Okay,
if it hasn't, if it doesn't meet those criteria, it needs a waiting for author tag, I think.
Yeah, like if we're gonna do have the bot use labels like this, then it would be reasonable to have an inverse tag for awaiting author something.
So I think here is like in general cases, whenever it is like status change or bot is passing other CI and other checks, there is this label status change that can help a editor to know that, okay, fine, this is done. But there is one specific case where editor is not able to identify whether it is up to him or up to the author. For example, when a label is added by an editor, requires author's response, even if author respond to that comment, that label is not going off and it is not changing to back to editor needs review. I think this could be a good use case where we can make use of this label.
Yeah, having bots do the labels automatically is nice because, like you said, they will go away when you're done with them. Whereas a human putting a label on a thing probably won't remember to remove it later.
Yeah, because that takes the pressure off of EIP editors and also the authors, right? You can save a lot of time instead of manually tagging each of these pull requests.
Maybe I can create an issue on the EIP bot GitHub. We'll try to figure out how to make best use of these labels. I mean, particularly editor needs review. But is there anything else, Sam and Lightland, you would like to add from yesterday's discussion? I get one point where author is unable to remove the tag of author has already reviewed it, and would be good to have editor's response tag over there.
No, I don't have anything else to add there.
All right, maybe we can start with that. We'll see if we can automate that response and maybe make use of this tag. Okay, that's on the EIP bot. So we already have covered number 2 and number 3. Number 4, this topic was added by William Entriken. So a few weeks ago, we discussed some of the comments left by William Entriken in the EIPIP meeting, and based on the recommendation, he created this pull request to update the README file. And I invited him to add today's meeting. I don't see him here, so probably we can skip the item, but I have added the link to the pull request that he created for mission statement in README file. It looks simple, and I suppose it has already been approved by 1 or 2 editors there. So if there is anything, any change is recommended, feel free to leave a comment. And maybe we'll try to bring this item in the next meeting when he is around. Item number 5 is about execution specs. We discussed it in the last meeting, and I remember Sam Wilson also talking about an all core dev meeting last Friday. I'm not sure if there is anything new to add, but if not, this is just from the last meeting. Sam?
Sorry, I missed that.
I have added it since the last meeting we discussed about it, and I know that you have already shared update in the all core dev meeting last Friday. So just wondering if there is anything new to add. If not, we can move on.
Oh, no. Sorry.
All right, not a problem. Yeah, please.
It would be nice if the execution spec people, i.e. Sam and Peter, I think, and the EIP editor people could come to the table and come to some sort of agreement on what we think the future of EIPs is. I think if we can present a united front to the core devs, it'll go a lot smoother than if the execution spec people and the EIP people are bickering while also trying to get feedback from the core devs.
I definitely agree with you there.
I don't know when the right time for that is, but when I would say before you start to bring up with the core devs a change in process, we should probably have 1 or more discussions.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I'd like to have like the actual process documented before, like actually in like a text file before we bring it up.
Yeah. I just wanted to make sure that we don't like jump the gun and core devs start giving input, which is going to be a lot of bike shedding, I suspect. And so it'd be nice if we had, this is the bike shed you're going to get. This is the color it's going to be. Deal with it.
Is there anything that we don't agree on so far from the vague presentations I've given?
I think the only thing that I don't agree on is keeping the EIP process as it is. Like I would rather see things move more to something new. Like I feel like this is a good opportunity to break from the old, particularly for core EIPs. For ERCs and whatever, we can be separate. But I think this is an excellent opportunity to break away core EIPs into their own new thing that is separate from everything else.
Yeah, I think we do agree on that. I'd still like to keep them called EIPs though.
I mean, you could probably convince me on that. I weakly want to get rid of the name just because the name brings with it history, and I'd rather not bring the history. But that's not something that not a hill I will die on. And I'll die on a lot of hills.
Michael, could you give an example as to how these core EIPs can be broken further?
You mean how can we move them out into the execution spec stuff?
Yeah, just an example.
Just like in my perfect world of rainbows and unicorns that will never exist, we would have, as people are doing pull requests for the execution spec, we would document in there somewhere the human readable version of the change control process. It would not be over in the EIP's repository. It would not be a separate document. It would be somehow integrated with the execution specs and or the pull requests to them. So that way, when you're looking at a diff, you can see the human readable version along with the diff in some way.
So I think the only concern with that is it would be very so we can do a diff per hard fork fairly easily. Well, I mean, it's not fairly easily, but that is the path we're going down. But if we want to maintain a diff per EIP, that would probably be a lot more work.
So I do not feel a strong need to keep a diff per EIP, but I suspect there will be people who demand that. And so having, in particular, I think people want the ability to point at a change set and give it a name / number / identifier of some kind. And I think that's going to be the hardest thing to fulfill.
Yeah, I mean, so that's pretty easy when you have like during the development process for an EIP. But once it once we're done and we're moved on to the next hard fork, every change set that we want has to be maintained. So as a good example of this, so as a good example of this, limiting the account nonce to 2 to the 64. That change, for every diff that we maintain, we have to backport that change to it. So if we have more, if we track each EIP separately, then we have to backport every kind of refactoring, every soft fork. Yeah, and it gets really tedious.
Yeah, so I'm with you. And this is part of why I think that we should all agree before we go to core devs. So that way there's a better chance we can fight for these things that are kind of bigger and are going to be more contentious, such as dropping the permanency of unique identifiers for changes.
I think we could still have those. It's just the active hard fork, you'll be able to get a diff per EIP. And then for past hard forks, you'll only get a rolled up diff for all the EIPs in that hard fork. And I think that's probably the best we can do.
And that rolled up diff would also, wherever we're storing the human readable version of these changes, that would also be rolled up with hard forks.
Yeah, exactly. So you'd get all the motivations, all the everything. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, so I think that's the one piece that I suspect we're going to get some pushback on. I like it, and I'm with you on it. I just suspect there will be people that strongly want to have the ability to link to, EIP 1559 or whatever, and have that be a kind of permanent link that lives forever and is isolated to just that change, not all of their changes in the same hard fork. I agree with you that I don't want that, because I think that it's going to complicate things too much. But I do think there are going to be people that are going to lobby for that pretty hard. So
I mean,
be prepared.
It's unfortunate for them, but it's impossible. So
good answer. That's nice. You can't have it.
Yep. I mean, if they want to, give me 12 developers full time that literally go through and, minutely change diffs, sure. But I don't, me and my 3 volunteers can't do that.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
I think we're on the same page then.
Okay, good. I have to hop off to my sync call, so I will talk to you all soon.
Thank you for joining, Sam. Well, that was the idea. I totally agree to Micah and Sam. We wanted to have this process well explained here in these calls. And when we have something real solid, we can go back to the all core dev meeting, present it so people be on board, and that would be the time of getting feedback from them if there are some small changes requested. I talked to one of the cat herders who is trying to contribute on the execution spec right now, Guru. He is also trying to kind of put something together, maybe in form of document or presentation with the help of Sam and Peter. And we hope to see some updates coming soon on this front. Okay. Anything else? All right, moving to the next item. It is a EIP insight for the month of February. In February, we have received 2 new drafts, EIP 4750, EIP 4527. 4750 is EOF functions and 4527 is QR data transmission protocol for the offline wallet. There is this one proposal which is in the last call, EIP 2098. So this proposal 2098, it is compact signature representation. It's an informational type proposal. We had a chat with the author for PIP and EIPIP for this particular proposal, and it appeared to us like this proposal should not be informational, but it can be an ERC, and both the co-authors, Richard Moore and Nick Johnson, are in agreement that it should be moved to the ERC category. I wanted to bring it to this discussion today because the last call period is ending on February 13th. And if we have to make any changes, it has to be done like sooner rather than later. So any thought from any editor here?
Sorry, which number you say?
EIP 2098. It seems like an ERC, but presently listed as informational EIP.
I can go either way. I generally don't like ERC informationals at all. Like I would like them to just not exist. So I have a weak preference for ERC on this one.
Yeah, because this is like in the last call and is almost ready to final. We thought that we should discuss it with EIP editors because authors are in agreement, and we hope to see a pull request soon requesting for a type change.
Yeah, I think I would accept. I mean, I don't handle ERCs or informational, so it'll be up to Matt and Alex ultimately. But I don't see a problem with it.
Sounds good. Unfortunately, Matt has to go, so he is not in the call, but we'll bring it up later on with him, maybe when the pull request is available. And for other proposals this month, okay, there is one more thing that I might want to check with you, Micah. You may be able to help me here. It is EIP 663. So in the EIP Insight, I'm going to share the link right here. What happened, like Exec created this pull request to maybe update it, something went wrong, and then it was reverted, and then new pull request was created. So I'm wondering, like, first of all, like, why did it happen in the first place? Because Exec is both author and the editor, it should be fine. And if you have any insight on this particular issue.
So I'm not familiar with the issue you're referring to, but an editor should not be able to merge their own EIPs. They should be required as a second editor to review them. So like if Alex is an author, he needs me or Matt or Greg to merge.
Yeah, I just have shared the pull request. Number 4752 is the one when it was resurrected, I believe, and the other one was, okay, let me quickly get it for you. Or 749 it is. So I didn't understand the reason why it is there, but both showed them as merged. And now there is this new pull request. So I was wondering, like, why do we need to have a new pull request and why is it not getting auto merge? I'm also sharing the new pull request number. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So the first one, 4749, was Alex submitted a pull request to change the status from stagnant to draft. Because he's the author, it should be waiting for an approval from an editor before it merges. But it appears that it looks like Alita said she drafted about skip draft review. Oh, okay. So it looks like it was a bug in the bot, and Alita has a ticket open to get it fixed, I guess.
Yeah, I think I got the problem right now. I mean, like, as you mentioned, that because it was because Exec was author and he was trying to resurrect the proposal, that's maybe the reason it is waiting. Because I was wondering, like, the new pull request number 4754, why is it still waiting? I got it. Thank you so much.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that's all on the EIP Insight. I have added a new dashboard this month that is for the proposals that are added as draft versus proposals that actually moves to final. It will be interesting to see it, like very few proposals are getting to final status in comparison to proposals which are added as draft, which is normal, of course. But yeah, I'm excited to look into these numbers. That's about EIP Insight, and EIP Editor Apprenticeship meeting is the next item. We had this meeting yesterday. I have added the recording and a summary for people to refer to. It is again the simple process where EIP editors explain to the new people, new contributors who want to be reviewers. So it would be a good learning, though we had some hiccups yesterday. Internet was broken, but yeah, people can go back and refer to. The next meeting is planned in 2 weeks from yesterday. The last item for today's meeting is a review action item from the previous meeting. I have added the link here, I suppose. And action items were checked to make sure the greeter bot gets activated only for issue section, not for the pull request. I haven't seen any new comment from greeter bot. By any chance, anyone else has observed? Maybe we can revisit it and look into it. I am hoping that this issue has been resolved. Anyone with suggestion about the merger bot should reach out to the EIP editors or the cat herders team. I haven't received any new requests, but this is still open. If anyone has any interest or capabilities to look into the merger bot, please reach us. 48.3 includes spurious Dragon updates in every alternate meeting. We did talk a little bit about the execution specs today. We hope to see more updates in upcoming meetings. That concludes the item. Those are listed here. But there is one thing that I wanted to maybe bring up today. I see there are 3 new issues created for 3 respective EIPs. I suppose this would be a good time if we can ask the author to move to the FEM portal for having a discussion to link. Micah, I remember.
Fine with me.
Yeah, I remember there was some concern in the last meeting about the updating window that was allowed for updating at Fellowship of Ethereum Magician.
Yep. Has it been resolved?
Not that I'm aware of. I will check with the team, but I mean, I know that this is from like a free software that was mentioned by Greg in one of the meeting earlier. So I will check with the team if this is still the case or people can update it. But if there is something like someone is looking for some immediate help, we can probably get it updated from backend.
Yeah, it's the one thing that I'm waiting for before I really start pushing hard on people to move over is that, because Greg did bring up a good point, that if you can't repeatedly edit indefinitely your original post, then it doesn't serve as a complete replacement for GitHub issues. So as long as we are unable to edit original posts, I think that we will have a hard time asserting to people that they need to move.
That makes total sense. I don't know, Liggy, are you part of that team, the Fellowship of Ethereum Magician? Sorry to put you on the spot. I'm just wondering like who would be the best person to reach. I know Anat and maybe Jimmy, but anyone else who are aware of the process behind the scene for Fellowship of Ethereum Magician? He seemed to be stepped away from the microphone maybe for a while, but I'll check with the team and we'll try to have some update by the next meeting. And yes, one item that I already have shared in the Discord channel that now the EIPV, the EIP validator that has been moved to Ethereum GitHub repository. So that's one good thing that we achieved in a while. And that also concludes the item listed here. Anyone else has anything to bring up?
We should probably discuss, I mean, not how many more people in the call, but we should probably discuss making Sam and or who is it? Will editors.
Right.
They've been doing quite a bit of editing lately.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah, I did chat with the Light client on this in one of the meetings, maybe earlier, I don't remember when. And we agreed on your suggestion when you recommended that people who feel like being an editor should come forward and say that they have been continuously making contribution. As you mentioned that we don't have most of the people around. Do you want me to add it in the next meeting agenda item? We can probably have a discussion on this.
Sure.
All right. Yeah, that's a very good point. Now that William and Sam Wilson are there, we can probably have them write accesses and it will be helpful to make things moving faster. Okay, and there is one last issue that I can find it on the EIP GitHub that is related to proposal 4337. I don't know if anyone looked into it or not. The number is 4783. Maybe any editor can look into it and leave some comment. These are just some typos, changes, must, should not. But I'm understanding if they are under special bracket, there should be a reason behind it.
That's which one?
4783. Pull request number is 4783. And the changes are suggested for EIP 4337.
Oh, yeah, this is not an PR. This is just an issue. Someone can just comment on the issue and just tell the user, please submit a PR.
Yeah, I was just trying to verify here. Are these like valid corrections or maybe we can tab author here to jump in, right?
Yeah, so when the person creates an EIP to make these changes, or sorry, when this person creates a PR to make the changes, the author will automatically be tagged.
Okay.
That should be enough.
But then the general recommendation would be like, maybe we can comment on this issue, asking the person to maybe create a pull request to suggest these changes to the proposal.
Yeah, just tell, it might be that the user doesn't know how to create a pull request, and so you might just need to kind of walk them through the process.
Okay. Okay, we can look into it. All right. That sounds good. And I think it has concluded everything. Anything else anyone would like to bring up today? Well, in that case, thank you so much for time and thank you so much for joining. And I'm going to create the agenda for the next meeting right after this meeting. Please feel free to add your items that you would like to be discussed in upcoming meeting with the EIP editors. Obviously, it will have the regular items, but it would be good to hear more issues that people would like to be resolved that is related to EIP process or any particular proposal. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. Have a good one, everyone.
Thanks.